Hey everyone, and welcome back to Battleborn. I've got a new build for you today. This one is for Mellka, and I call it Relentless Venom. Oh, and it's relentless, alright. This is an incredibly aggressive build, and you're just gonna be constantly in the enemy's face, just being a nuisance. Just they won't be able to get rid of you. You're so hard to hit, and you'll just bounce around all over them. You'll hit them with slows, you'll hit them with venoms. You'll shoot them in the face, and then anytime you get in trouble, you just fly up into the air and then shoot across the map. Way out of their reach, and they can't do anything about it. The only way they're gonna get you is to hit you with some CC, but like I said, you're so hard to hit. It's gotta be well aimed or something like Galilea dragging you in. Otherwise, they're not gonna be able to deal with you, and it's gonna frustrate them. So if that sounds like your type of build, well, let's jump right in. I'll show you how to do it. Alright, we're going to start off with the Helix choices. So, for level 1, we're going to go to the right with Hobbling Spike. That's going to add a slow to your spike, which is just invaluable. It's incredibly important, and the other option just doesn't compare. Spike is an AoE, Claw Lunge is single target, Spike is more reliable, yada yada yada. Go to the right with Hobbling Spike. Level 2, we are going to the left with Parting Gift. So now every time we use our spike, it's gonna leave a damage over time on the ground as well. And it's slow, so it's harder to get out of. Level 3, we're going with Frag Canister. That turns our Frag Canisters into sort of like a shower kind of effect. So you'll shoot out your Frag Canister like normal whenever you reload, but then it'll break into smaller bits and spread out, letting you carpet bomb an area with Venom. It makes it much easier to land your Venom. Level 4, we are gonna go to the left with Blade Ejection. This one's not all that important as far as I'm concerned. You could go with either of the other two options if you wanted to, although I don't particularly like tactical withdrawal because I don't want to get knocked back. But I just go with Blade Ejection because every once in a while I use my Claw Lunge to finish someone off or something, and that just adds a little bit more damage. So that's why I go with that. Level 5, we are going to the right with Eldrid Rhythm. This is awesome. It's going to increase your maximum health up to 300 points if you can kill 10 targets while they have Venom on them. And really, anything you kill should have Venom on it if you're playing it right. So it should be pretty easy to get your stacks up, especially on minions. Level 6, we are going to the left with Spike Burst. That's just going to increase the area of effect radius of our spike and make it much easier to land. And then level 7, we'll go to the left again with Power Spike. We're going to increase that spike damage. Level 8 is the big one. This level makes you incredibly strong. So we're going to go to the left with Refined Canisters, and that's going to add Venom to every single shot you do and increase your clip size by 10. So you're going to have 30 shots to the clip, and they're all going to poison. It's amazing. Level 9, I go to the right with Finishing Blow, increase that Claw Lunge damage by 15%. You could just as easily go with Feral Strike to the left if you're more prone to use melee. But I don't actually use her melee all that often. Not because it isn't good, just because I'm not all that great at landing it, and I'm much more reliable just keeping close-ish distance with the enemy and hitting them with my gun. So that's why I choose that, but you could just as easily go to the left with Feral Strike if you're looking for more melee damage. And then level 10, I go to the left with Blade Storm. This is great for hard to hit targets with your ultimate. So all you need to do now is just shoot them with your gun. That's going to put the Venom on you, or on them I mean, and then you shoot off your ultimate, and the ultimate blades will track in on them and smack them. And the ultimate does a lot of damage, so having those all hit is fantastic. It's going to tear people up. But if you wanted to, if you want like a gigantic hit, you could go to the right with All In. I tried it, wasn't really all that impressed. It does do a ton of damage, but it's a long windup. And then there's also Pool Shot. I know a lot of people like those. Turns each blade into a parting gift damage pool. I didn't like it too much. I'd much rather have the homing in. Alright, those are my Helix choices. Let me show you the gear. Alright, so as usual, I've got an expensive set for Incursion and Meltdown, and then I've got the cheap set for Capture. So let's go with the expensive set first. First item I'm going with is this Survivor's Regrowth Serum. This is going to increase her health regeneration a lot, and it allows me to stay in the fight. So because she's so hard to hit, regen is actually really, really nice on her. So this is going to add 7 regen per second. She's got a natural 7, so that'll get her up to 14. And then if you survive for 3 minutes, which you should, unless you made a mistake, then you're going to get an extra 4.2, getting you up to 18.2 health regen per second, which is amazing on her. It makes a huge difference, so I highly recommend it. Second item I go with, no surprise to anyone who knows my builds, the Eviscerating Endoskeletal Graft. Attack damage, attack speed. I love this item. I love it. And then the third item, another one I use fairly often, the Vow of Zealous Fury. It's off of Rendane. It adds attack speed, critical hit damage, which is actually really good for Mellka, because she's pretty easy to aim with. Unless someone's like bouncing around, but then that's hard for anyone to hit. So crit damage is pretty, critical hits are pretty easy to hit with her. And then she's going to get a bunch of attack speed every time she uses an ability. And all of her abilities, all of her skills are on small cooldowns, except for her ultimate. And you're going to be using them a lot. So getting those stacks up, no problem at all. Just play her normally. Okay, and then the cheap set I go with some more health regen. That one's 420 crystals, 7 health regen. I go with attack damage, 412 crystals to activate. And then I go with this freebie attack speed item, this Antiquated Aelfrin Warblade. It's going to add 8.4% attack speed and lower my maximum shield, but I don't have a shield, so it does nothing. So I just get free attack speed for 0 crystals. Alright, there's my Helix choices and the gear. Let's jump to some clips, and I'll explain to you how to play this build. Right out of the gate at level 1, you're on patrol. If anyone gets themselves out of position at all, you're going to jump all over them. Smack them with the spike to slow them, get some venom on them, and pour in that damage. If you run into trouble, use your claw lunge to fly out to safety. And just remember, with claw lunge, if you aim into the air, you go flying into the air. It's great. Level 2 makes you a little more deadly by adding the venom to your spike. It's actually pretty good damage, and it's great for clearing minion waves. Although I do try to save it for players because that's how I like to initiate with Mellka. Now when I initiate, I try to spike players from the direction I think they'll run to if they go to escape, so then they have to run through my puddle of goo and take some extra damage on their way out. A lot of players don't even seem to notice the goo or realize that it's bad, so I'll have people camp out in it sometimes, and that just makes it an easy kill for me. I have noticed a few players will just immediately look up when I spike to get some hits on me, and they'll just stay in the goo. So at least they figured out half of the ability. A for effort. At level 3, you get the Frag canister that lets you carpet bomb with your venom canisters. It doesn't make it easy mode by any means, but for those that suck at landing venom canisters like myself, it helps a lot for actually getting that venom on people. Venom canisters in general are hard to get used to because you have to get used to briefly aiming above your target whenever you go for a reload. And of course, the further away that target is, the more you'll need to aim above it. Plus, if they're moving at all, you'll need to lead them as well, so it definitely takes some getting used to, but venom on your targets is vital to your damage. If you're ever fighting something without venom on it, unless you think you'll miss, then you should reload and get that venom on it ASAP. It's not just the venom damage itself, but the impact from the canister is good damage as well. And if it's a large target, you can get multiple impacts from one frag canister. Level 5 gets you some spike damage as well as an extremely accurate high damage ranged attack with your ultimate. Plus, you'll start earning health for killing envenomated targets. The 300 extra HP you can get helps Mellka a lot more than you would think on paper, so don't underestimate the importance of getting those stacks up. And like I said earlier, anything you're fighting should be envenomated, so getting those stacks should come naturally. Level 6 makes Spike much easier to land, which is bad news for the enemy. Your damage is not to be trifled with at this point, and having an easy to land maneuver that does good damage and slows for 3 seconds is a great way to initiate fights. You could of course save your Spike for when the enemy tries to run, but I like putting them on the defensive right away, right when I engage, and if they go to run, I'll just chase them down with my claw lunge if I need to. Having that increased area also improves your wave clear and has the potential to increase your damage slightly because of the bigger goo puddles you'll be getting from that level 2 Helix choice Parting Gift. Level 7 gives us more spike damage. Whee! Doing more damage while I bounce around the map is always good, and like I said, I use Spike as an initiator in most cases, so that just makes it even scarier when I jump on someone. Nobody likes starting a fight getting surprise attacked and having a large chunk of health ripped off. Also, Spike throws you up in the air, and very few players, including myself, are really good at tracking vertical movement, so on top of that surprise damage, now they've got to figure out where you went as well. While they're trying to track me down, I'm spraying them full of bullets, and the situation is quickly becoming worse for them. Slowed and losing health quickly is a rough start to any fight. Level 8 is the level where you get insanely strong. Venom on every shot is just ridiculous. It doesn't trivialize the Venom canisters, but only the impact damage from those matters anymore. And you won't ever need to reload early if you're just looking for Venom. Being able to spray around and put Venom on whatever you hit is wonderful and super helpful on team fights. Plus, as long as you get a shot in before you spike someone on initiation, it will put a wound on them in addition to the slow. And I absolutely eat Miko alive post level 8. I feel sorry for the dude. I just run in and rip him to shreds. It's ridiculous. Level 10 is not a game changer by any means, but sometimes I'll have a player on the other team I'm having a hard time killing, like an Alani jumping around, for example, and being able to guarantee hits on her is a great benefit. However, I usually don't have too much of an issue landing my ultimate, so depending on how things are going for me in the match, it can either be a huge help or hardly make a difference at all. The nice thing about it is that when paired with the level 8 Helix for adding Venom to every shot, it more or less guarantees the ult will be homing in on every activation. Well, there you have it, the Relentless Venom build for Mellka. Get out there and start harassing your foes. Make life miserable for the enemy. That is what Mellka is all about. I hope you like the build, and be sure to let me know how it works out for you. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.